Like I said before, this is probably one of my most favorite short chapters of the Nesivei Shalom, where he gives us tremendous, tremendous chizuk that we should listen to every day. There's another aspect, that a person needs to have clarity of mind. What's Daas? From the first chapter, Daas is a mixture of intellect and emotions, where your heart is and where your mind is. Chachma ubina together is Daas. And a person has to have clarity, of his mind, of his spirit, of his heart and his mind. Ba'avodas Hashem, when he serves Hashem. Hein b'inyanei sur meira, sai when it comes to staying away from sin, and also when it comes to doing good. Not doing averis and doing mitzvahs. What do you need to know? This very, very important thing. Ladas, to know she'ikir tafkidoi shel adam. The main purpose of a person in this world is yegiya v'hishtadlus. The main purpose in this world is not accomplishment. The main purpose is the toil and the striving. How much you work hard on something and how much you strive for it. And I want to give you an example on how we get paid in Olam Haba. Imagine that there's a game. There's a guy, and he's a strong guy, and he weighs 200 pounds, full of muscle, and we put you on a chair, and you have to stand up. And while you're trying to stand up, he's going to push you down, just like this. As you start getting up, he pushes you down. So after a lot of work, you can stand up. Then we put you on a couch. On a couch, you're sitting on a couch, it's much harder. You're working against so much until you even get up, and then he just gives you a push. It's very, very hard to get up. And then we put you on a recliner. The recliner's up, and you got to try to get up. It uses so much muscle. You feel the muscle, just go like that. You feel it here. You're working much harder than the guy in the chair. And it takes much less to push you back down against the gravity that's pulling you down. And then we put you lying on a bed. And you got to sit up and you got to get out of bed. Not everybody's in the same situation of life. Some people are in a chair and they have a Yetzer Hara and they can overcome the Yetzer Hara and they have to try, right? They have to try. Another person is trying, has much more against him. Whether he has much thicker midos, let's say a person has anger. You can't compare him to someone who doesn't have anger. Someone has a little anger problem, a bigger anger problem. Someone who's born with a massive anger problem. It has to be channeled for good, etc., etc. But you can't compare his not getting angry to a chilled guy's not getting angry. And it's the same thing with everything. Someone who has a learning disability. One person goes out, he goes into the shiur in his class, he knows the whole thing. He hardly listens. In Shemayim, he didn't work very hard. He didn't toil. Another guy wants to give up. Again and again. And I hazarded it over. And unfortunately, because we have no way of judging Yegiya and Ishtadlus, we have no way of judging kids or adults or Bachrim, Mesifta, Beis Medrash. We don't know how much you're trying. Our grades are based on academics, which is the least important part in God's eyes. Hashem judges Yegiya, how much you tried. One guy spent 5 minutes reviewing and he got 100. The other kid spent 3 hours with a private tutor and then another hour on his own and he got a 20. It's not his fault. In Shemayim, his Yegiya and his Ishtadlus, his trying and his toil and his yearning and his desire is 1,000 times more than the other kid. If you look at it Olam Habadik, if you look at it from God's eye, I feel sorry for the smart kid who gets everything easily, who can daven beautifully easily, who can concentrate easily, who could stay in his chair easily, who has great midos easily, because in heaven, they get very little reward. I'm not minimizing the reward of putting on tefillin, of davening, of doing everything, of course. But in Shemayim, the ikar tafkid of a person is his toil, the amal. So the one who's actually not getting it and is trying and is not giving up, he feels like, I'm not accomplishing because I don't know the chomer, I don't know the material. But it's never about the material. It's not about what you get on the test, it's about how much you try. So every time you review it and every time, don't get frustrated, you're getting paid. We have to know when it comes to staying away from sin and when it comes to doing good. It's the toil. One person, he doesn't have it. He's not a big Baal Taiva. He doesn't love food or he doesn't love other things that he has to fight day and night. And the other guy's fighting day and night. And maybe he falls much more, but he's fighting much more. He's trying much more. He's caring much more. He's doing everything he can much, much more. And he feels like a loser. And he thinks the other guy's a winner. Not true. The ikar tafkid of a person, the main purpose of a human being on this world, God puts everybody down. Hashem creates many different souls. And he gives them chesroinus, deficiencies. On every person has a deficiency. And sometimes the deficiency is that the person doesn't have deficiencies that other people have, and then he has ego, which is the worst deficiency. Kina, taiva, kavoid, mitzinas adam and oilam. Person can have ego, it's the worst. Everybody has something they're fighting against. And everybody can stop doing an Avera and get different amount of reward. We all have to stop not to do the Avera. But one person is going to get this amount of reward because it was this hard, and the other one's going to get this amount because it was this hard, and the other one's going to get this amount because it's that hard, because God knows how hard you're trying. And when it comes to mitzvahs, davening, learning, chesed, whatever it is, it's all, the reward is based on your yagia, on your toil, and your shtadlus. It's a whole different world when you look at it. Habeit mishamayim ure'eh. Look at it from shamayim, kik mit hecher blik, kik mit himmeldik blik. Look at the world from heaven, from God's view, not from your second grade principal's view, from your fourth grade Rebbe's view. They can only see. And yes, I'm going to plug my book, GPS, Navigation for Your Soul. I don't make money on these things, so I can plug it. I wrote it specifically 5 years of toil and sweat, Yigia and Ishtadlus, because it's what we need. It's for teenagers. There's stories on it even for younger. And it's for all ages. It's Nesivas Shalom brought down. And I talk about the Rebbe who was going to give a certain mark to a kid who got a low grade based on his knowledge. But in his dream, a long man with a white beard came to him. And he told him the grade that he has to give him. And it was 100. Because he knew that that boy tried and studied harder than anyone else in the class. And he's the one who gets the 100 in heaven. We don't have those eyes. But Hashem has those eyes. We have to teach our children. And it's very hard because they're up against academics and grades and grades and grades. And not all of them. And some of them are trying so much harder than the good kid who naturally has it easy. And he thinks, I'm the problem kid. But it's not true. We have to teach it to our children, but we certainly need to know for ourselves and our adult children to grow out of that immature mindset that's implanted in us by the school system. Nothing wrong, because they don't have nevuah. Yeah, if a prophet was your teacher and marked by Yegia, the marks would be very different. Marks would be very different. It says actually that the schar for learning Torah comes from the amal. The reward, he's saying for everything, but it says for the amal. The toil, the not knowing, the trying to get it, and forgetting it, and reviewing it, and not understanding it. That's much more than the guy who knows it all. I remember in yeshiva, there was a guy who was mamish a genius. I never saw him toil. He was just ahead of everybody, and he probably was very far away from his potential, but he was so far ahead of the herd. Whenever he asked him a question, he knew Gemara Rashi tells me he was a genius. But in Shemayim, they're going to say, we gave you all of that. What did you toil for? Ki ein lahasik shum darga b'Torah v'avodas Hashem uv'chol midah nechayna. You're not going to comprehend, to grasp, to earn any level in Torah or avodas Hashem, in any avodas Hashem, in any work that you do for God. Uv'chol midah nechayna, in any proper midah that you portray, in any way that you behave. Only through, based on the amount of hard work that you try to bend your nature. Hard work that you subdue your physicality. So the person who has it easier has to work harder and not just say, well, I'm better than that guy. I'm the best guy in the class. I'm the best guy. I'm the easiest going on. No, you have to go higher. But if we really toil and we try, we fulfill the will of Hashem. Even if we don't reach the success and the victory to reach and grasp that thing, whether we're trying to not sin, whether we're trying to do the mitzvah, the avodas Hashem, the chesed, the Torah, the tefillah. If you try, that is the kiyum of Ratzon Hashem. You are fulfilling the will of God through your trying. Even if you're not matzliach to reach that level, even if your tefillah, it looks compared to the other guy, it's not, but you keep on trying and you keep on remembering and keep on refocusing. If we had this ingrained inside of us, it's an upside down world. So many people drop out. It's not a diet. It doesn't matter what the scale says. It matters how much you try. But Oifin miyuchad, and specifically, hadvarim amurim ba'oisin mitzvahs shein yesodei HaTorah. It's especially what we're talking about now. It especially is implied when it comes to those mitzvahs that are the foundation of Torah. What's the foundation of Torah? Emunah, faith in Hashem, ahava, loving Hashem, v'yira, v'dveikus, fear of Hashem, and connecting to Hashem. Ashehema mitzvahs hatluyos belev. These are all things that are in the heart. How much you fear Hashem, believe in Hashem, feel Hashem, fear Hashem, connect to Hashem. It's called mitzvahs hatluyos belev. They are depending on your heart, the heart of the mitzvah, the heart of your avodas Hashem. This is why I love Nesivas Shalom. He's real. What should a person do? He says, Emunah, far from it. Dveikus b'Hashem, to feel connected to God all the time, far from it. Yiras Hashem, to really fear Hashem. Yeah, sometimes, chas v'shalom, a person's in a bad matzav, we feel fear of Hashem, but what should we do when we're far from it? A person knows in his own soul how far we all are from these madregas. So what should we do? Should we give up? He says, no. Hatshuva brura b'chol zeh. The clear answer, response for all of these things is she'ikr hamitzvah hi hayigia lahasig madregas elu. The main mitzvah, the main command, the main avodas Hashem, working for Hashem, is the amount that we toil to try and get those things. Not how much emunah you have, but how much you try to get proper emunah, to work on yourself. That's the main mitzvah. Some people are naturally more dveikus b'Hashem, yiras Hashem, ahavas Hashem. Beautiful, wonderful. But when we're lower than that and we have to work on ourselves, that's the mitzvah. Hashem created us without those high levels automatically inside of us. Or things happened in our life to damage the natural yiras Hashem and emunas Hashem. And now we question ourselves and we have to work on it. But when we work on it, that is the ikr, the main mitzvah, is not to attain. Whether you attain or not, sometimes it's not even up to us. It's to work. And sometimes when you work, you'll attain. And sometimes when you work, you will not attain. But you have to work. We get paid to toil. We get paid to work. We're not free to say, not for me. You want to sit and learn for 10 minutes? Not for me. I can't do this. You can't do this? Great. Try to do it. That's what you're going to get the highest salary for in Shemayim. You can't just say, it's not for me. In the world, right? In the world, a person could say, hey, you want to go play racquetball? Not for me. Not my skill set. I like basketball. You could say that. You want to become an accountant? No, I'm more creative. You want to be creative and get a job designing stuff? No, I'm a numbers guy. That's fine. When it comes to avodas Hashem, we can't say, not for me, I'm out. But what do you mean? Not everybody can be everything. Emunah, bitachon, dveikus, all these things. What do you want from me, right? The answer is you're not potter from it. You're not just, you don't have to. There's no p'tur. But you have to have clarity. You have to have clarity on what your path is. And that is to figure out how to attain that. You go to a coach. Person wants to go start a business. He goes to a business coach. Can't just say, well, I'll be poor. Okay, be poor. You find ways. You go to therapy. You go to a business coach. Over here, we go to Svarim Aktoshim. We learn Nesivas Shalom. We learn Mesilas Yesharim. We learn Chasidish Svarim, Litvish Svarim. We go to a Rebbe. We say, how? Help me, please, help me. Like I'm drowning. I need this. Please help me. The last is kol ma sheyachol liskadim ba, and to do everything possible to go higher, to go further. The oz habalatayr misayinoisai. When we really try, the siyata deshmaya, the help from heaven, comes, and someone who's coming and wants, really from the depths, keeps on trying, and he really wants it. And he doesn't say, okay, not for me, I give up. When we don't give up, it comes from God, things that we could achieve that we on our own cannot achieve. Imagine if they told you, you can look muscular. You have to go to the gym 4 times a week. And if you go 4 times a week for 8 years, then we will take whatever muscle you built and we will add on this amount of muscle. And you'll be Mr. Universe. That's what's happening here. We have to go, we have to work, we have to try, we have to care. We have to try to be focused, we have to remind ourselves, we have to look for tricks, we have to not give up. And then, from our trying, we want to be pure. We want to be 100% emes in our dveikus, in our emunah, in our connection to Hashem. Hashem will help you to go higher, higher, and higher. And we see many, many tzaddikim that they struggled when they were younger. And they didn't give up. And they became Gedolei Adar. Many stories about that. Now listen to this. Negea for every one of us. So too when it comes to staying away from evil, not sinning, or purifying our midas to behave on a high standard that a Jew is supposed to behave. At the time that we're feeling we're standing very low and we give up against our natural instincts, our natural tendencies. I don't see any way to change. Anybody ever feel like that? They're addicted to bad, or they just can't control themselves. They keep on trying, let's say anger. They keep on trying not to get angry, and you feel like, there's no way. I'm an angry person. I was given that midah. Or whatever it is, in fighting off sin, or purifying our midos to behave in an exemplary fashion, in a high way, in a high type of person, like we're supposed to. We're princes. We're royalty. We're supposed to behave not like truck drivers. Purifying our speech. Everything. So what happens when we stand and we realize, I can't change myself? This is like trying to bend myself backwards and walk around like that. I can't do it. I don't see how I can change. Even in that situation, you need clarity. What does he talk about for all of these parakim? From the very first Perek Rishon, clarity. The Yetzer Hara wants us to give up. The Yetzer Hara wants us to not have clarity. The Yetzer Hara wants us to get confused, fuzzy. We forget what we're doing. Example that I gave is someone has a mosquito bite. You know that if you scratch it, it's going to last 2 weeks longer, get infected, bleed. Ignore it. But you have to be focused. As you're falling asleep, you find yourself, you catch yourself. Once you're sleeping, you're not focused, you'll scratch it. You wake up in the morning, in the middle of the night, I wasn't thinking. Yetzer Hara doesn't want us to think. And therefore we'll sin more. And therefore won't do so many mitzvahs. Or we'll do them without thinking, without clarity, without connecting. We'll do the mitzvah without connecting to Hashem. The whole mitzvah is to connect to Hashem, like we learned, and we'll forget about God. And we'll finish. And we did it. But it's not meant just to be an action. We have to continue doing the actions even if you don't feel it. But the idea is to feel it. So we need clarity. You know what you need clarity? Shaloi alecha hamlacha ligmar. Loi alecha hamlacha ligmar. It's not on you to finish the whole job. And we never demanded victory from you. Ella yagia va'avoda b'chol koichaisecha. The only thing that we need to do is to work and keep on working, toiling and trying with all of our might. Let's do it again. When we feel like giving up, right? You tried a diet and it didn't work. 6 months later, you try another diet, it didn't work. You try another diet, another diet, another diet. You give up. I have no self-control for this diet. So when it comes to food, you're right. Maybe give up until you find another diet. When it comes to getting paid, when it comes to Avodas Hashem, it doesn't work like that. Hashem knows where you're coming from, and He wants to pay you for trying. So when you feel low and you say, I give up, I can't do this, I can't become holier, you need clarity to know, Loi alecha hamlacha ligmar. You can't finish this. It's not on you to finish this. This is a life's job, a life's mission. And it may not even be in one life. It might be different gilgulim. You go outside and someone tells you, please shovel my walkway. And you think you're from Brooklyn, that the walkway is 12 feet. You come outside and the guy lives in Tom's River and his backyard, his walkway is, and he gives you a shovel. And he's sitting in the window and he's watching you. Lo yalecha hamlacha ligmar. He knows you can never do it. Nobody demanded victory. You're not going to win every battle against the Yetzer Hara not to sin. You're not going to win every battle against the Yetzer Hara to do good. You're not going to be able to constantly do good on the highest level. Nobody can do that. But what is demanded? Yagia va'avoda b'chol koichaisecha. To try and work as hard as you possibly can. And the Yetzer Hara comes to us. He makes it hard for us. And then he turns on us with a long white beard. He looks like the Yetzer Tov. He says, what are you working so hard? You're never going to be able to daven without, whatever, bad thoughts. You're never going to be able to watch your eyes. You're never going to make it. You're never going to be a Ben Torah. Never going to happen. Don't try Daf Yomi. Don't try learning. Don't try. It's not for you. Give up. Live life. Don't. You're good enough. You don't do enough mitzvahs. The mitzvahs you do are good. Don't let the Yetzer Hara get to you, whether he's coming to you as a Yetzer Hara with evil or he's coming to you looking like a Yetzer Tov. Doesn't matter. I don't got to finish the whole job now. And I cannot, and nobody demanded victory on every single fight against the Yetzer Hara. I'm being paid to work. And I'm not going to stop working. How far I get, first of all, you'll be surprised because you said before, Habala Tahar Messiah, you say Hashem will come and give us the Yata D'Shmaya. You see it. You see people who didn't learn their whole lives. And then when they're 40 or they're 50, they start learning. And all of a sudden, they're Mamash Tamidei Chachamim. I saw somebody who was a smart guy, always a smart guy. He did not learn. And then he threw himself into learning, and he's now known to be a Baki in Shas, Poiskim. He's a genius, and he's a Masmid Otzum. He totally changed in a few years. So we're not all going to be zeicher to that, but we have to try. We have to want, we have to care. And we have to know that we're getting paid to try. So if I'm getting paid to shovel the whole backyard, I'm not going to get paid. I'm wasting my time. Throw up the shovel, give up. But if I'm getting paid to try, then every time I try, I got paid. And I think about my bank account, $100, $100. That's how we have to go ahead and think of when we're fighting evil. And the Yetzer Hara wants us to sin. And we're trying not to. We're getting paid. And even if we don't have victory, but we got paid for trying. And when we're trying to daven and concentrate, we're trying to learn and concentrate, we're trying to add on to our good midas, we're trying to work not to get angry. We never stop trying because we get paid for trying, not for accomplishing.